So recently NVIDIA had their conference and Jensen Huang said something that really resonated with me. And I wanted to play this clip with you.
OpenClaw has open sourced essentially the operating system of agentic computers. It is no different than how Windows made it possible for us to create personal computers. Now OpenClaw has made it possible for us to create personal agents. The implication is incredible. The implication is incredible. First of all, the adoption says something, all in itself. However, the most important thing is this. Every single company now realize, every single company, every single software company, every single technology company, for the CEOs, the question is, what's your OpenClaw strategy? Just as we need to all have a Linux strategy, we all needed to have an HTTP, HTML strategy, which started the internet. We all needed to have a Kubernetes strategy, which made it possible for mobile cloud to happen. Every company in the world today needs to have an OpenClaw strategy, an agentic system strategy. This is the new computer.
So, yeah, there's Jensen Huang saying this week that you need to have an OpenClaw strategy. You need to have a agentic strategy, just as important that Linux was, just as important that HTTP and HTML was. This is just as important. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Jensen talks, you listen.
I mean, he does have one of the most valuable, well, it goes back and forth about who's the most valuable company in the world. So I think he may know a few things about building companies. So you all have been using OpenClaw pretty heavily. Why do you think that every company needs to have an OpenClaw or an agentic strategy?
Well, I think that if your competitors are already using, and if you do not have any sort of a strategy developed for your own use cases, and if you're saying that for workflows where you need humans, but your competitors have already automated it through OpenClaw, that's a huge disadvantage to your own company. You are just leaving cash on the table, like literally. Even like before OpenClaw, even when some workflows you would think like, oh, this is not possible, at least this kind of a workflow needs some sort of an human input, human feedback, human loops. Like that is how you can finalize this sort of a like step-by-step process. But I think with the way the AI agents are developing and through OpenClaw, if you're not like, I cannot agree more to what just Jensen Huang said. Like if you do not have a proper strategy, then you're losing behind, definitely.
Yeah, we've seen it in our own just productivity across the board, being able to hand these things off to agents, being able to just ask the agent, hey, learn this new skill. Like, I really feel like we're living in the Matrix where it's like, I need to know how to fly a helicopter right now. I don't know if you remember that scene from the Matrix. This is where we're at. Or Neo comes up, he's like, I now know Kung Fu. Like, we now are at a place where not just agents are being able to be useful, but they can learn. They can, if they don't know how to do something right now, you just say, go learn how to do this, and it remembers how to do it. It can be extremely helpful. And for anyone who's had this moment, where I had this moment the other day where I went off and I told it, go create an entire content strategy for me. I want to use Nano Banana for thumbnails. I gave it like 3 different services that I wanted to just go and figure out how to hook it up, right? Something I would go and tell an intern to do, or a marketer, like, hey, here's my overall strategy. You go figure it out. And when I saw in its chat history, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have this. Oh, let me go figure this out. Let me go do this. It was figuring it out on itself. And then it was like, hey, Brad, I need you to do exactly these things. Can you let me know when it's done? Went and did it, came through. He was like, here's your Google Drive folder. Here's this. Here's some samples. Do you like these samples? Do you want to work on these a little bit more? Let's iterate on this. It was literally like working with a new employee. It was just magical. And I think everyone needs to have that moment to realize that, wow, these are no longer just chatbots that you just ask a question and get something back for. You can literally give it a job, a task, have it go out and collaborate with it in a very, very just fun and exciting way. I don't know. What was your aha moment?
one thing I would like to share here, like for every big company, when you talk about like the success of a company, it's all dependent on your profits, your expenses. And if any company, like answering to your question, why one company should be discussing or focusing on delivering a OpenClaw strategy would be to minimize their expenses. And for any company, big firm or like small startup or anyone, if they were using previously like a lot of software subscriptions, and they're not really utilizing the power of OpenClaw. They were just paying all in all monthly subscriptions. But with OpenClaw, with AlphaAgent, they can now just create their own skills within the platform itself. And how I like there was an aha moment for me. Like I was paying for an API actor for scraping some Google Maps and getting me some business context information through just like very very basic simple prompt. When I was explaining OpenClaw, like this is what I want to build, this is what sort of like data I need extracted from these kind of businesses, and it gave me all that just through that. And I do not have to pay like hefty amount on these actors or on these subscriptions. And for me, if I'm considering myself as a business owner, that would be huge if I can just create all of those skills without paying for all of these subscriptions. So that was definitely an big moment for me. Can we really make all of this within the platform? Yes, we can.
Yeah. I mean, we're already starting to, we just had a customer the other day, that we're going to be reducing their software spend by almost $300,000. They don't need all of these different tools, these per seat licensing for tools that people may use every now and then, or do this one thing. You can literally just have it built and have an agent that gets you the information or does the action that these software companies used to do. Like, I would not be wanting to work or be the owner of one of these software companies right now and trying to navigate this landscape, because 2026 is going to be the year that people start really looking at their budgets and start realizing that I don't need half this crap. I just need a really good OpenClaw instance, or name your agentic harness of choice.
Yes, I'm agree that in 2026 we have to check the subscription that we have. Maybe half of them are a waste of money now. I like that you use the same reference that Max used to explain why he chose his name for his AlphaGlow Neo. The matrix reference, pretty good. And I think it's exactly that. It's now you need to do something, just prompt, and AlphaGlow have more agency that we see with Cloud. Like with Cloud, you have to check mostly all the time. AlphaGlow just have the agency to work, and then, well, you human do the three tasks, and I continue working. I think it's really amazing.
Yeah, Max, you chose Neo.
Yeah, Neo is my agent, and it feels like going back to Matrix 1. I'm a big fan of the movie. When it's that scene, I cannot remember the guy behind the computer just looking at the Matrix, just seeing all the things, and he goes in, takes a cartridge, puts it in, and Neo goes, I know Kung Fu now. So that's the agent, right? And that was kind of my aha moment as well. When I was, set it up, got it installed, connected Telegram, and I started chatting with it as with any other person. And with my group of friends, we are all bad coders, we are kind of engineers, so we always have like these side projects. And I cannot tell you how many times one of us has started like a cost tracking app. Right? Like, I want to build my finances, I want to track my finances, and there's always a big blocker. You get the email from your bank statement. We all have different banks. It's a very bad formatted thing. Like, it sucks. And in every iteration we've done before, we kind of get blocked. And with OpenClaw, the other day, I was like, just a quick, Telegram voice message, check out my email, figured it out. I want an app that tracks my finances. That's it. And then like 15 minutes later, the app was done. It said it was able to pull all my bank statements. They had no issues. And when I opened this setup, I had like a full dashboard showing me all the bank statements, my expense, like this month versus the previous period. It completely created a scraped system to get, like the bank statement. Like, it became an expert in how to parse stuff that was not even out there. It's not like, hey, go on and clone, Splitwise, or go on and clone this one app and do it exactly the same. It was like, check out my environment, check out what I have, how it works for me, what type of emails I'm getting, what type of invoices I get, whatever. And the agent is able to figure that out. And that was really the aha moment for me. Because as we grow inside this business, Jensen has said now, every company needs OpenClaw. You know, in a way, he's saying like every SaaS is now kind of legacy, or they will have to pivot very, very hard. But we four have been in it since day one almost. So what I see is, as part of this strategy, it's more like, and Brad, you've said this before, we need to approach these agents as a new hire. It's not as about like what I'm going to implement, what, automations I need. It's more around like what environment do I need to build for this agent to be successful in what they need to do. I don't need to tell you how. Of course, we'll always have some of the manuals of, the way that we do things in this team, how we like to communicate, how we like to deliver things. But it's more around like, how are we going to take this agent, OpenClaw being one of the most famous ones, and put it right inside our company, as if it was like the best hire we have today.